Soviets and Soviets, how y'all doing? This is Conoric.
And I'm Mangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, we are got a real ripper for you today. We're over here in Orsha North yet again, back to that map that we know just oh so well. But while we know one of the players duking it out on this map, we don't know his division, nor do we know the other one. So Rang, take us through both of those.
Well, on the right-hand side in red, we have Adler 3000 as the 29th Tankovy. And on the left-hand side, in the blue, we have Gonzo as the 20th Panzer Division, both being the new divisions added in the recent beta.
Okay, so tell us about both of those. So the 29th, you said at one point before, it's kind of like a fairly, I'm not going to say vanilla deck, but...
Yeah, it's like the other Soviet armored division, but more IS-2s and like a few things mixed around, but it's still the same sort of gimmick. Lots of T-34s, but sprinkled in with some heavy Stalins just to spice things up.
So vodka with a kick. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, and what kind of flavored beer are we talking about with the 20th Panzer?
20th Panzer, it really just hits you hard and fast, and then you either get knockout drunk or you have a great time.
Okay, so it's like a line of shots, basically.
Yeah. You pretty much... I like a more medium... early rush armored division with lots of Panzer 3s and 4s, as well as some Capture T-34s and one big IS-2 and A phase, if you so desire. But apart from that, they're pretty vanilla, like German Panzer division stuff. Really more of an A phase, B phase rush, and then try to hold on to dear life in C phase.
Ah, okay, so a nice light brew with not too many hops in the long term, not a kind of a bitter aftertaste. Okay, well, one thing actually as well as we're getting into it right now, we can see the initial deployments coming on through. We are seeing that both these guys are using the Vanguard.
Yeah.
So we're going to see a bit more emphasis in that earlier gameplay. And like you said, that plays very well into the 20th Panzer. With the 29th, that just means more tanks early? What does that mean exactly?
Probably just means more tanks early. Maybe an IS-2 or 2 in E phase. But yeah, for 20th Panzer, I definitely say it's a bit more important for him as compared to just a regular 29th Division deck loadout. You don't really have that C-phase capability with 20th.
Interesting. Now, for some reason, we do see a Ognjevachiki getting dropped off way behind the front lines. He's going to start hoofing it to the front. Apparently, he pissed off the wrong commissar.
Poor guy.
And other than that, though, we also are going to say, I actually want to make a quick call. Ooh, wow. PTRS 41 down south takes a couple of shots and offloads an Osttroop near the front lines. And that's the other comment I was going to make, actually, is that we are seeing a fair number of Osttroop being brought on in. So it's nice to see that the Eastern troops are finally pulling their weight.
Yeah, they're finally on. The Eastern troops are finally on the Eastern Front.
Now, I will say, I was watching the other day, Tick, that YouTube creator, he's doing an Operation Bagration series right now. So I've been kind of hoping we're going to get the entire thing out by the time the game drops. I don't know if that's going to happen.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty inspiring. Now, we are going to see a little bit different play here from Gonzo. As you can tell right now, we have Panzer 3Ls. You might be thinking to yourself, these things are complete shit. Like, what's the point? But these are the late models. This is after the 6 or 7 seasons of Project Runway.
Yeah.
And here we are. Wow, that poor scout plane.
Yeah. Poor little scout plane.
Wait, he got taken out by the machine gun fire?
I mean, it was a little scout plane.
Still.
A very little scout plane.
Still very sad.
Yeah. But this Panzer 3, is rather interesting. They're all highly vetted because they're all 2-star veterancy Panzer 3s in A phase. And they can do pretty well against T-34s. The APCR shots are actually rather deadly. But really be able to make the breakthrough in the middle. Try to get past the town and break through the Soviet lines. That's what he really needs to do.
That is certainly true. Now, one of the things to kind of recognize, though, too, is that up against that single T-34-76, not quite so much of an issue. But if you look southeast of the town, we are going to see we have a couple of 45 millimeters. Ooh, yeah, there goes the T-34, doesn't it?
Kaboom.
But the 45 mil and another T-34-76, they're going to catch them kind of well and good in the flank there, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. That's damn good shots. Crew killed in 1, Alpha 1 ring kaboom. These Panzer 3s aren't doing all that good.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a threading a needle through the haystacks.
Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much gonna shut down that entire push, that lone... I mean, 76 T-34 helped out a bit, but really it's at 45 mil, I'd say, which did a lot of the damage.
True, but also at the same time, no, he has no more of those APCR rounds.
Oh, yeah.
So, just a quick reminder, those things, armor-piercing composite rounds, correct?
Yep.
Yes, and those are quite impressive. Quite impressive, and we're going to see right about now Gonzo bringing on in more tanks, screaming if at first you don't succeed, throw your armored fist back in the same freaking area.
Yeah. Does he... Okay, he is at least bringing up like a artillery unit, a mortar half-track, as he can use that at least to route out the 45 mil.
That's true, but on the opposite side, it looks like Adler 3000, not to be mistaken with the science fiction theater of the same name, he is bringing on in an IS-2 1943, and this is the grandpappy of Soviet tanks.
Yeah, it's the big Stalin tank for sure, and he is rather thick, with about 170 millimeters of frontal armor. The Panzer IIIs and Panzer IVs really don't have much of a chance of penetrating it unless they get really close.
I'm going to leave the dick joke off the table, but I know you made a comment before we got started here. Ooh, a couple of Valentines, by the way. I'm going to give a quick shout out to the Lend-Lease. You made a comment before we went live that there are people who are complaining about the IS-2. Why is that?
I think just because of how they set up the beta phase by removing the 5th Panzer, the current German, well, the new German division is more medium tank division, and doesn't really have the heavy guns to deal with IS-2s efficiently in a run-on-run fight. But really, with 20th Panzer, it can be pretty difficult to deal with IS-2s head-on, but you got to use artillery, smoke, use the Ju-87 cluster bombers to try and route out those fat tanks. But yeah, I don't really know what to think of it. I think it's a little bit silly removing 5th Panzer, because there would have been a pretty good matchup against the current Soviet division, 29th, but you got to make do with what you got.
Well, interesting. We are going to see a 45mm pop gun trying to engage that IS-2 and bouncing it as he probably should be.
Yeah, he has no chance in hell on penning that.
No, that definitely is the whole door knocker thing for sure. And the Soviets are actually prepping themselves for a push up to the north, bringing another tank in, as well as, well, you know, the tank. How do we call them? The ablative armor.
Yeah.
For the tanks, and a couple of Streltsky squads too. So. Not too much to sneeze at, and some more leader units. So I would be very surprised if this Osttruppen kind of like loose spam is going to be able to hold this back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's quite a bit of infantry.
Even worse, we actually have a Panzerschreck and a PTRS 41 duking it out. This is the pure wet noodle contest. We got you outnumbered 2-1.
And the Osttruppen comes in, ruins are fun.
Yeah, but it's really weird to see that the Panzerschreck actually used all of its, MP40 ammo.
Yeah, it's rough for Ridge, yeah.
And additionally, he does go down, but we also see a very quick anti-tank gun being brought on in. Probably a good call there. Shockingly enough, though, while these P4s are moving towards the front with the P3s, we are going to see the anti-tank guns getting suppressed. Well done.
Yeah. It's good. And Gonzo is in that important +1 lead so far. So, that's a good thing at least. He definitely needs a head start advantage to get him through B and C phase. But I'm really interested to see whether this 2nd Panzer platoon push will work or not.
Honestly, I'm just watching the flamethrowers do a nice little commie roast in the middle of the town.
Keep them warm for the rest of their lives, I guess.
Yeah. Come on, baby, light my fire. And indeed, actually, wait, we're gonna have, is that recon troops being brought in? That poor scout car. I always forget that little wimpy, rinky-dink scout car. Poor guy.
Oh yeah. That's an odd little vehicle.
Hideous, outgunned, and pretty much screwed, no matter which way you slice it.
That's like the really early German half-track.
Yes.
No, not even half-track, it's a armoured car, really early one.
6-wheel one, yeah. With the Joseph Stalin, he's already taken names.
Oh yeah, he's in a perfect position. Those Panzers go around the corner, they meet Papa Stalin.
Well, you know what? They said, you have Stalin, we have Stalin too, yeah? And the voice of Stalin gets brought on in, but again, guys, be very careful about using this to kind of be your be-all, end-all, because it has only 8 AP
Yeah.
and 20 HE, so it's a very, very light ammo load.
Yeah, you really do need to have supply trucks out with your IS-2s, especially once you get through a longer engagement, because I'd say you run out of ammo fast. Well, yeah. You can get like 4 shots off a minute roughly with the stated rate of fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's actually a little bit faster if you bump up the veterancy, but still, like, that's not really that long of sustained fire. And then you see the IS-2 in the middle, where he is just shooting shot after shot after shot.
Though, interestingly, he doesn't have all that much in the terms of ammo either.
Mm-hmm.
And he's using an awful lot of it to try to suppress an infantry.
Yeah.
Which I get, but I can't help but feel might be better use for him to kind of get line of sight on some of those pioneer squads in the town. That's still that VP. You got to take that. But we're ambling towards Phase B, so that's when things start getting a little bit weird for both sides. They start getting worse and worse supply situations.
Yeah, but both sides are gonna have worse and worse income as the match goes on. It isn't gonna be the income thing isn't too bad for 20th. There's really not much to survive. Once you get into C phase, which is also a double-edged sword in its own regard. Depends on how you build 20th Panzer, of course. But I'm thinking late game, even with the income thing, Adler is gonna be in the advantage, especially if he gets enough of those IS-2s. They can be a real nuisance.
I do like, first of all, Gonzo sees his infantry push happening to the north of Tanko Descent Niki. I'm gonna trip over that from the day we start officially having leagues.
Yeah.
Very quickly get a Sturm Pioneer. Yes, the Osttrooper are going to be the breakwater, but this is a very, very quick, adept call, and that's why Gonzo is definitely one of those guys you want to be watching out for no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But the Soviets are attacking all across the lines, and I think they're achieving pretty much a 2 or 3 to 1 kind of outnumbering advantage every single time.
Yeah, if you're looking up north, Adler is pretty much going to take his whole northern hill and capture another victory point, which would bring it back to 50-50 for him, which will be very good. And Gonzo really doesn't have much up north in terms of defense. Just a bunch of Osttrooper. He really needs to get some CQC infantry and probably another anti-tank or two to try and deal with this northern push.
Well, I'm a little confused, actually. We have another P4 squad now coming on in, and they're going to pretty much the same spot.
Yeah.
And somehow the Aufklärer's kind of transport to the front, this 247B half-track wannabe, he's behind enemy lines, and he's paying the price for it right now.
Yeah, and this is really funny. Gonzo is doing all his resources to try to push his specific run area. He's got some bombers at least to try to get an IS-2 to bug off, which is good. But he needs to make his pay off, because if it doesn't, he just lost a lot of, I say very valuable tanks. They're only medium tanks, but you can't really be affording to throw away medium tanks, like if you're a Soviet tank division with 20th. And he's gonna just, charge more Panzer IVs on the IS-2, and I don't think it's gonna work all that route.
It's almost as interesting, frankly, as we do see a couple of T-34-76s getting thrown through that little wood down to the south. We actually have, this is a Recon P3s that I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the unique things about the 20th Panzer is we are going to see stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And wait a second. Now that I'm thinking about it, the IS-2, they probably didn't have to worry about it buggering off. I mean, all you have to do is just give it enough targets and then just don't worry about it shooting anymore.
Yeah, it's completely out of AP ammo now, so I mean, you can actually frontally penetrate it from very close range, even if the penetration doesn't say so. The penetration's kind of weird in this game. But still, it'd be a little bit risky just driving that Panzer III right up front. And Adler, he realizes that and he's going to pull back the IS-2 a bit, hopefully. Which, he is, which is a smart move. He really needs to get a supply truck on it.
He's good for the moment. Now, down south, we are going to see the Germans have also lost that little compound that's right there.
Mm-hmm.
This is a fairly difficult VP in my mind to take. Wow, what was that coming in the center line right across that P3?
That was a P-39 rocket plane.
For some reason, I was like, I didn't see any Katyusha come on in. That made no sense to me.
There's a flying Katyusha.
Yeah, well, Oh, yeah. It's your favorite P-47 wannabes. Um, Actually, down to the south, these recon panzers are not going to do very well. Oh, wait, crew
Well,
killed?
you know,
Oh,
one
wait a
gets crew
second.
killed.
Those transmission damage and sight damage, though, so we are, there's some really funky nonsense going on here.
I think he's gonna get the kill.
If you could see him, yes.
Real deadly tank combat here. Yeah, he's got it. Shooter killed in the other T-34.
Oh, wait, you know what? This is the 45 mils got that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the door knocker manages to break down the door eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And then dies. But if they can reduce that tank number and a tank right there, we have 3 tanks, admittedly one of them barely clinging to life. Should be more than enough to really aggress and take back this compound. Shouldn't be too hard, actually.
Just need some... Gonzo needs to throw in some infantry, and he should be able to take it back. As he has the tanks here to give fire support.
Indeed he does. And the Tango de Sant'Niki, not a whole lot you can do against tanks with those.
No, not really. No, you just pray to God.
Quick note, though, Osttruppen, moving on in, they have 160 rounds between the entire squad. No machine gun ammo, very little MP40 ammo, very little K98 ammo. This, you know, it's hard not to just admire their pluck.
They're about to affix bayonets and charge head on.
Actually, they might be. You know what? I haven't seen hand-to-hand combat shown yet.
I know. I don't think... I think hand-to-hand combat technically happens when you have 2 infantry in a building, but if you have 2 infantry squads outside right next to each other, it's all just about ammunition.
Well, I can tell you right now, we have Pioneers coming with DPs, so...
Oh.
Yeah, that's gonna be over pretty quick. Unload, and... Yep, there's some machine... Yeah, that's fine.
It's really funny, I was playing these with DPs, the German infantry squad pretty much using entirely Russian equipment. Which is extremely bizarre, but, I mean, it does make sense, frankly.
Well, when you have nothing left to do besides just, like, throwing every bit of profligate munitions you have, gotta do something.
It's like the Counter-Strike theory. If you're playing terrorists, you know, the CTM4 is the better gun.
Yes.
And vice versa.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And you gotta get the 360 no-scopes.
Yeah, huh?
Town is completely in German hands, as is the forest to this northeast. That's
oh,
impressive.
Wow.
That was a very, very strange thrust that happened.
Yeah.
And the IS-2 is forced to fall back. He cannot stand against firepower of that magnitude.
It's funny. It literally came down to the IS-2 running out of ammunition, and then he could push. He threw enough tanks into it, and now he can charge.
I think the Russians did the same thing at Stalingrad, didn't they?
Yeah, it's his own tactics being used against him.
Well, you fight him long enough.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, down to the south again, so that now the recon Panzer IIIs are getting nailed hardcore by the PTRSs.
Oh, yeah.
And that's been taken care of. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's really only in the north where the Russians are meeting with any kind of success, and even this is getting mitigated somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, if...
Sorry, please.
I mean, if Gonzo continues like his middle push, he can capture another easy VP, which is inside that light forest area. It's just about whether he can really exploit it, as he has a good amount of ground, but he doesn't really have anything to hold his ground in the middle where he pushed, and the IS-2 is finally getting some much-needed supplies, and that's going to be a rather deadly thing to face, especially if T-34-85 being brought in.
You know, I realize this probably was not going to happen. By the way, with T-34-85s from the southern side of that town, P4s are desperately trying to get line of sight, but not a whole lot really being seen.
Mm-hmm.
Though we do have the Voigt to Stalin from miles downtown.
Give him some long-range fire support at least.
I think I would have been laughing my ass off, though, if that half-track, that little recon half-track, had scampered forward to shoot up that Studebaker.
No supplies for you.
Exactly. He really would have been like the supply Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
I should go back and watch that show. An M10! So
oh, yeah?
more Lend-Lease material is on the field. And for some reason, he thinks that firing at a point to Stalin is going to be a good idea.
Not a good idea, buddy. Not a good idea.
Very, very foolish indeed. Meanwhile, the Otomachiki squad comes out next to Ostchuppen, who will have 48 rounds. And the Otomachiki have 4,000 rounds. I wonder who's going to win.
And 3 stars veterancy.
Exactly. Exactly. Those guys can tank all day or a day.
Yeah. The Pioneers, the Pioneers don't have any. Well, one of them has a grenade at least. I don't know if they fixed the grenade to actually make him do a reasonable amount of damage, but we'll see in a second.
No, it's not really massively reasonable, but it's no longer the I give 75% of your suppression damage here.
He only killed one Otomachiki in that thing, or it did a little bit. It really should do more damage.
True. True.
Because it's a big bloody, it's a... whatever the thing means in German translated to English.
Bundle
like a
grenade.
bundle, yeah, it's multiple grenades altogether. It's small Daka, but with explosive firepower.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to throw a Borderlands comment out there, but I'm not entirely sure really what the whole thing was again. Merv, multiple independents. Never mind.
Rocket.
I can't. Not the same thing. Close, but not quite the same thing. But you know what I'm getting at.
I know what you're getting at. Also, the really fancy Fat Man from Fallout 3.
Exactly.
The one that you shoot and you automatically kill yourself because you're shooting 8 goddamn mini nukes. That's a fun weapon, yo.
You really have to wonder about the sense of the guy that was like, you know what's a good plan? I'm going to give myself a tactical nuke.
8 of him.
Exactly. But before we get too far into the future, let's stick with the recent past. And the Germans have seized that other point that you were talking about. And with that are causing a -2 lead over here against them. That's considerable.
Yeah, this is going really well for Gonzo. It's exactly the sort of push you need to make for 20th Panzer to take the victory. You are hitting into C phase just now, so both sides losing even more income. And I mean, Gonzo still has a good amount of tanks left alive and probably still has some in reserve, so he could probably still keep up the push for another maybe like 10 minutes or so, which is all he really needs, because he's going to win in 7 minutes if he can hold on to the territory.
Indeed. Indeed. I just heard a tank explode. No. Never mind. Thought I heard a tank explode.
No, it's just in your imagination.
Well, or my nightmares, depending on who's just died. If it's T-34... Oh, I know what it was. Okay, Flak 80 of the Flak 41 in the middle part of the field.
Oh, okay.
Was engaging further south, I believe. Or not. But alright. So what's going on with Adler? Why is he having such an issue?
I think he just left his middle ready to expose. I mean, just looking at it in the minimap, he barely has anything in the middle, even now, considering it is being pushed pretty hard, and Gonzo figured it out and exploited it and took a nice amount of territory. And he needs to get his IS-2, which has been sitting around after getting resupplied online. So he can easily start picking off Panzer IVs.
He's got 2 of them, in fact.
Oh yeah, this will be more than enough to try and shut down his push. Just as long as nothing funky happens, like being artilleried or cluster bombed.
And Lord knows that's not going to happen. The Germans can't
Nope.
cluster bombs. Now, if you have an IL-2, or
There's
those
also
yak nonsenses.
They also have the Stuka cluster bomb.
True, that they do, sir. That they do. But I feel like that's very underwhelming towards the suppression it does. Especially by comparison to the bomblet plane.
No, it's the same bomblet. It's just on a Stuka.
I feel... Okay, maybe I haven't used them enough, thanks. Again,
They are
correct.
slow, yo. They are
Yeah.
slow, and they're not as good as the Yak because it's a bloody Stuka. But it's still, still.
I
Still
appreciate
bomblets.
you trying to mollify my anger at the Soviet bias now, too, but you don't have to do that. We are going to get another IS-2 command tank in as well, so as if 2 wasn't bad enough, a third one comes.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, those ME-109s just kind of like whistling in the air, doing absolutely F all.
Yeah, just keeping the skies clear.
I am amused to a certain extent that the Germans have not been a little bit more aggressive in the south. I would almost like to see this forest get sealed off. They can pick up the 2 Otomachiki.
Yeah, I think with Gonzo, this doesn't have, or doesn't feel like he has enough CQC infantry to clear us out. I mean, he's pretty close to doing so, as you can see, but he probably thinks he needs like another Stern Pioneer or two to get the job done.
True. True. And again, like we said before, the Automachiki, these guys make Swiss cheese out of most German infantry, so charging them head on is no good.
Really bloody good close range.
We'll just stall on in the meantime. He's going to take another 45mm shot? No, he is not.
And it's very important for 20th Panzer to keep your Beuter Stalin alive as long as possible. It's your only heavy tank in the entire division, so it definitely has a rather big purpose. And as you can see, he is keeping it back, just using it as reserve. And oh, the IS-2 does go down, or the Russian IS-2 in the middle. I believe it was due to the Beuter Stalin.
Katyusha!
Oh, there we go. You'd be happy to know, Khan, that the Katyusha's been nerfed. It's no longer...
Yes.
Which is good. It was a little bit too crazy. As you see in these Panzer IVs, you know, he's staying alive. He didn't immediately blow up after the sight of Soviet rockets hitting around him.
Justifiable, though, if you think about it. He's a woman's man, no time to talk. It's 17-7, though, so life will be over in just about 200 seconds if Adler doesn't do anything about the status quo. And frankly, like you said already, his middle is too weak, which allowed Gonzo to kind of play Napoleon.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely did a very nice push up north, but just look at it, he hasn't really managed to exploit it. I mean, you're seeing after Machiki's Shroud, which is right next to a 45mm. He probably doesn't know the 45mm is there, to be honest, to be fair, but he definitely would want to move out to Machiki's Shroud into that forest at least and try to, you know, clear it out, see if there's anything in there. But it's definitely way too passive up north, and especially in the middle. You really needed to get more stuff here.
I think to a certain extent, though, that the second that he lost this kind of force, we see that there's two Stern Pioneer squads. His chances of taking that entire center back are just really, really rather poor.
Yeah, especially in only 2 minutes and 35 seconds. He does not have enough time to make any major push.
Well, one thing I was just trying to check right now to the sightlines. Shockingly enough, if they wanted to, Gonzo could have probably snuck in a couple of anti-tank guns right over in the area. Close range would have been difficult, but it would have been possible. And there we go. There goes one of the anti-tank planes. But Soviets getting a tiny bit of life back into them. More, if anything else, just kind of taking back territory that rightfully should have been theirs in the first place.
But yeah, it's I mean, it does have like the command IS-2 moving around and whatnot, but just can't get it in a good enough position to start knocking out Panzer IVs. Because every Panzer IV you kill against 20th Panzer is a pretty huge blow, I'd say.
Forgive me if I'm sneezing over here quietly.
God bless.
Thank you. Someone needs to look out for me. And lest we forget, happy Easter to all of you out there, and happy Passover to our Jewish compatriots. And, well, Diwali's not for another few months, but I'm sure we'll celebrate that when we get around to then. But as we go into the final minute, it looks like, of this game, Gonzo, well, he's played a real Gonzo game.
Yeah.
Aggressive play. I mean, I don't want to put this, you know, words into his deck just yet. But like you're saying, Windhound was kind of one of his divisions way back in the first one. Do you think 20th is going to be a staple for him moving forward?
Maybe. I mean, he's always like kind of like the Panzer IV, aggressive sort of play style with medium tanks. Maybe 20th Panzer be his deck. Who knows? Who knows?
Indeed, we'll have to trust in the heart of the cards to find that out.
Yo, he could also literally play Windhound when they actually come out, now I think about it. Because Windhound's going to be in the SD44 pack.
True. And I hadn't even thought about that either, but you're absolutely right there.
Yeah.
P4 in the meantime, well, we actually have a T-34-85 getting bailed on out. It's been a surprisingly still mild game. I think we've only had probably about I would say 4,500 kills so far. Maybe I'm wrong here.
Probably a little bit less, but it has definitely felt rather... I mean, Gonzo did that big push in the blink of an eye, and then Adler was kind of stunned and didn't really respond to it in time. Now he's finally taken back territory, but it's too little, a little bit too late. Oh, wait. It's...
Yeah, okay, but he whispers and the game's over. I mean, geez, that M2A1 over here in the center part of the field, this thing goes down, and, well, the entire... There goes the neighborhood.
I mean...
And 20 seconds, there we go. Yeah,
okay.
come on.
I mean, his middle push is actually going really well for Adler. In terms of just, he has stuff on the field, he's got some LA7s shooting down the Messerschmitt. But, okay, Gonzo managed to nick the flags.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oil set obstructed. Is he going to hit the ground before the game ends?
Ooh.
Nope.
Nope.
Oh, look. It's a lovely red color. Now we can finally see the writing.
I know, that's quite nice. That's quite nice.
And there we go. Some friendly fire apparently going on here. Gonzo managing to nuke some of his own troops. One PTRS squad doing just fine, taking out 4 of his opposite number. IS-2 doing rather well. LA-7 doing rather well.
Yeah.
Definitely some standouts.
Yeah, it's weird to see a PTRS. It's funny how he only killed Panzerschrecks and he managed to kill 5 of them. Like, what? It's like the anti-Panzerschreck squad.
Yeah, kind of shocking when you think about it.
It's like Chad PTRS versus Virgin Panzerschreck meme. Something along those lines.
I can see it.
Someone needs to make it into a meme. Please do that.
On the other side, just really Schönmann, a couple of half tracks, a couple of small tanks here and there, not too bad.
But yeah, pretty spread out from Gonzo, nothing too crazy. I gotta say, at PTS squad, I'm in absolute awe. That is definitely MVP of the match.
Epinguer. It almost sounds French.
I know, right? It is. Epinguer.
Maybe he is part of the French Foreign Legion fighting for the Soviets. Liberty, peace, and equality, or something like that.
Yeah.
But any final thoughts?
None whatsoever. Those are the 2 new divisions, and that's how both of them play.
Exactly. So, folks, come back next time for another gruesome twosome. And, well, until then, of course, I will remain Connor.
And I will remain the Rangru. Take it easy.